Hey, what's up guys? This is Oakley and this is Rome 2 still in patch 15, and again excuses, I'm still not home, but I played a bunch of Total War games, so I figured, they were fun games and I was going to share them with you and we could talk a bit more about patch 15. I will be back home in 2 days, so excuses again on the quality of these videos in terms of the audio, and it seems like the frame rate will sometimes stutter when I record. I don't know what's going on, but in any case, I hope you can excuse the quality of the videos and instead just enjoy a bit of the patch 15 stuff that's going on. Anyways, let's talk about the battle. My opponent is obviously Parthia, and he is going to be charging forward with 2 Sarmatian Lancers paired on each side with these noble horse archers, and in reserve 2 median cav. Now he's coming aggressively, and then he has this big frightful block in the back. Now let's go in slow motion. Basically, in the latest patch, Rome was nerfed. Parthia seems to be doing pretty well. I've heard people complaining about the royal cataphracts and how effective they are. In this case, he doesn't have any charging me here, so I should be okay. But my main strategy here is to act a bit like Scipio Africanus at Zama, where I pair my infantry together like this and make sort of columns or channels in between them. But instead of trying to channel elephants in the middle, I'm going to channel, or at least try and channel, some cavalry to charge to the center. Now in between these infantry blocks and formations, I put cavalry, and I also put Balearic slingers. So the point being is, if his cavalry charge to the center, I can keep pulling back with my Balearic slingers, countercharge with my cavalry, and pincer on either side with my infantry. If instead, as is the case, he decides to actually go for my infantry, well then I'm going to brace these guys, and then the Balearics can turn around, get some shots off, cavalry can come and swing in the side. So that's my general strategy. But look at this. When you brace your infantry as effectively as I am doing right here, these cavalry charges are going to be virtually ineffective. I still have 120 men there, and I'm 119. So I put 2 Estati. Those guys are cheap. They're meant to take a beating. And over here, my 2 Praetorians are going to anchor the far right of my wing. And with the fire at will mode that you have now, they're going to be super effective at taking these guys out a little before the charge. Headshots everywhere. And yeah, the factor of being braced is going to mean that these cavalry coming in are going to do virtually no damage. I think I don't even lose a single man. 119, 120. Okay, I lost 1 guy in that charge of 2 cavalry. So that was 2 Sarmatian Lancers. He's already down by a third. The other one's down by 10. And as this combat changes, these guys are only good on the charge. So once I soak that charge up with, 2 losses, they're going to be just eating shit. Over here, I countercharged with some of my own Saki Equites. I didn't lose any men. His median cav are even. It's going to be a drawn-out battle, and I'm getting some rear shots, as I was saying, with my Balearics. Over here as well, they're going to get some shots off. And all of these lines here, these society that are super cheap, they're just going to keep throwing their pillas, so they're perfect fodder units. Came in, cleaned up his guys with the Saki Equites, and his guys that pulled out from this fight, Sarmatian Lancers, are going to be engaging with my Balearics, so pretty good move. But they are not going to hold up to the Roman cavalry, who, despite being nerfed, are still going to perform exceptionally well. Yeah, we can watch some of this combat. Really sick battles. And over here, I have some of my own Syrian archers in the front. They're mostly targeting these heavy horse archers. And I'm going to be getting some Pilla volleys off against them. Over on this flank, I'm continuing to just pick off his Sarmatians. And then he charged in with his super heavy missile cav, as I guess they're qualified. Yep. So these guys are better at just, playing around and continuing to engage in from range. Now they can serve as close quarter combat cavalry because of their armor and pretty good stats, but not against these Praetorian guys. My opponent was a bit too hasty with that charge. I guess he's used to these charges just wreaking havoc on your opponent. But if you do as I do and you stay braced and you stay composed, it's kind of like a wave washing on water. It may make the rock disappear. Or what did I say? Wave washing on water. No, a wave washing on a rock. So it may look like the rock disappears initially, but then the water recedes, and then what's standing left? Well, these badass Praetorian, these are the rock in my armies. So he washed up against me, and then now he's, just receding away. And I'm pretty much intact. 2 guys lost there, that's it. Over here, my cavalry seem to be doing okay. They're beating his median cav and throwing in reinforcements. That'll allow me to clean up this flank. And my own cavalry here is aiding in the cleanup operations on this position. Now I kind of left some Syrian archers here for bait. They were a bit too exposed, so my opponent is going to charge in with his general as a cataphract unit. The reason I say that's bait is because he's going to be charging right into position of my Romans here. So look at them cocking all their pilla, and then here we go, they're going to get some shots off into his cataphracts. Now cataphracts are the best units to take this kind of a beating, but he's losing a lot of men and a lot of HP just needlessly. I mean, to take out Syrian archers, that's not what he should be doing. He should be saving these cataphracts to take out my legionnaires. But as we saw in that last battle on my flank, even that is not going to be worth it. So you really got to engage my guys from the front, save these cataphracts, and then use the cataphracts to smash around the rear of my forces. He's going to continue to just try and outstrip my legionnaires, charging across the center. It's kind of a foolish move. I mean, let's see what's going on here. Wow. Holy shit. Did you see some of those legionnaires, or some of those cataphracts? 10 pilla in the neck. I mean, this guy is bleeding and dead, so he's just charging all up along my front. Yeah, these Syrians are kind of, they're going to go down, but I mean, at what cost, honestly? Huh. Well, it says here he's only lost about 12 men. That's surprising given the amount of pilla I've thrown at him, but it's a lot of HP damage as well. Now what he should be doing is just pushing this force fully forward and just making use of my disruption. I think what he did too much was attack piecemeal. The charge on this flank was unsuccessful, but it was successful in causing a lot of chaos. That's what he should have exploited with all of his archers here, which he's not doing. But anyways, I'm just going to keep getting some extra shots here. I mean, might as well if his general's hanging around. And now I think the HP... Oh, I'm just watching some of these individual pilla being thrown. It's cool to see that. What was I saying? Yeah, the HP accumulation that I've been doing in terms of like damage to it is now going to start finally, ticking down to 0, and this is where you see more and more of the horses dying. Poor little horse. Oh, he's got one around his ankle. That's sad. But yeah, I mean, one of the advantages I guess he does have is absorbing a lot of these pilla, which would otherwise be thrown right into his infantry, and maybe that's a better use because then, my pilla would just massacre his forces who already don't have heavy armor, the heavy armor that I have. In the back, gonna keep chasing his horse archers, not letting them get away. These Saki, no, this is my general's bodyguard. The Saki are coming in soon. These guys are pretty awesome troops. Obviously, the Saki Equites are gonna be from Rome's allies. They're usually from the earlier period, but I like how you can mix early Republican armies with the the later legionnaires of the Empire. So it's a bit of a mix and match, but maybe we can pretend these are also Italian allies sending in some troops to help me on the battlefield. Regardless of what the backstory is, they're still super effective cavalry. So I'm going to take out the remainder of his archers, and finally I've secured this front. He's again going to come charging in with these horse archers. Again, not the greatest move, and it's mostly just going to end up in tremendous losses on his side. And just the increased armor and stability of your infantry is going to mean that these charges are not super effective as long as you brace, and it really allows Rome to play a lot with the use of hastati, which otherwise were really crap units that would usually rout in a charge like this. Now they can really be sturdy and beefy units, which I like. So, again, if we're going to do an analysis of my playstyle, I almost never, put my guys in a single line. I like to stagger it, mostly because it means, as he moves forward and he is in a single line, he's going to get caught up. So I can, catch a bunch of his units on one of my veteran legionnaires. Those guys will hold up for a while. And as they're, engaged along the front and caught up on just a couple of units, these guys can swing around the flank. Already preemptively, I've got 2 hastati guys here. Really cheap guys again, but, you might as well use them on your flank. Over in this distance, we can see him sending all his sort of archer fire across no man's land. That's what he should have been doing all the while. His cavalry were distracting my guys, and he should have mostly been doing feints on my units, really not charging actually, and just forcing my guys to stand still, and then sending in all of these archer volleys. This is a bit of a dangerous position for my guys, but I'm able to do this because he has no remaining cavalry. If he'd split that wing up and kept 2-3 guys here, he could swarm around the side, force these guys back, do archer damage. He could have cleaned this up, but he wasted all his cav. Anyways, here comes a front of Parthian swordsmen. Relatively scary looking guys, but against Rome's elite, they're no match. However, I have withered hastati troops in the front, so these guys are actually not going to perform as well as they were. Already I'm going to start sending my guys around the flank. I want to peel off and just hit the back of his archers or these swordsmen. Problem is, my guys are exhausted, so usually you could skirt these guys around, but now they're going to be too slow. to get around the flank effectively. Spearmen can chase them off, so I'm going to be sending in actually one of my Praetorian guards to hold this flank and then try and push through the side. And amazingly enough, I still have some of my slingers. They survived from that right flank cavalry charge, and they're going to be helping me to get some initial shots off against these Parthian soldiers who are moving up. Really cinematic, a long line of them. Even my archers still survive, but they're going to pull back behind the line of fire of this just mass. But again, look at the positioning of my guys. A lot of people just like to drag a big line. I would say that's not necessary. You know, having this weird formation is probably good for you, because it opens up each individual one of his troops. It has its own flank. So I know that I outnumber him, and so because I'm going to force him, to engage here, then my other unit can come and attack his flank, and all that. It has a lot of benefits, and so it might seem a little weird, but this is how I like to engage. It's also a little bit unnerving for the opponent because they don't really know where to attack, so it sort of has a psychological effect. Anyways, my Hastati who are on the flank are going to decide to charge in through the center, distract a bit of his archers. I'm going to get sort of a pincer movement, but again, as I said, my cavalry are going to get chased off. So these guys are going to be a flanking force, and I dispatch one of my Hastati. I figured I would only need one to chase back these archers. I'm going to dispatch them to attack the back of those Parthian swordsmen, but his archers are shooting me in the back, so it's going to be a race to get out of here in time. My own troops are going to be pulling back, and now I'm going to turn about and engage on all fronts. You can watch some of these charges down the front. Sorry if I'm going in slow motion, but it does help my the rendering and the capture process. It keeps these battles from becoming really choppy and staticky. I tried recording this battle before in normal, but it was playing like a slideshow. So hopefully you guys accept this. Anyways, here we go. I'm collapsing on all fronts, continuing to get fire from my various troops, and look at this. I don't engage, multiple units at once. I save some in the rear, wait for these units to get clipped together, and then, oops, look at this. This is a gap. I can go knock this out, knock that unit out, and I can also use my pillar. So that's why I leave these positions open and why I deploy in not a straight line. If I'd sent my Romans in a straight line, there'd be no opportunity for this kind of behavior of my troops. So I'm going to double envelopment there, double envelopment here. I am going to be broken here, and that's because these were the Hastati. So like I was saying, Hastati, they're pretty good, but Parthian swordsmen actually seem to be performing better than I remembered. So he's going to be collapsing me there. But on this beefy right flank is where I have these Praetorians. This is not at all going to be good for him, and this is where I'm going to hold the line, so to speak. And yeah, against these, these guys should not be surviving. What's the Eastern Spearmen? That's their name. Yeah, those guys are total crap. You'll see in the stats later they get almost no kills. So my cavalry were continuously thwarted. I couldn't get past just because they were so tired, and his Eastern Spearmen were chasing me off. But at least I got one of these Hastati troops finally engaging with his Persian light archers, and it's forcing all of them to change where they're shooting. Instead of shooting at the front lines, they're shooting over here. So that's good for helping me wrap up this fight. Over here, I came in and crushed in with these legionnaires against his Parthian swordsmen. I have a sandwich there, so as I wrap that up, I can hit the back of this unit, then the back of this unit, and then finally save this unit. But it looks like he's going to be trying to do the same on my sides. But as he turns his back on me, I can get some easy archer shots. So there we go, some of those going off. Slingers are going to start shooting at his men. That's exactly what you want, just to get into the backs of those guys. So looks like this flank should be secured for me. Over here, my general is a bit out in the open. I'm going to have to charge him out. And I still have some of these guys still alive. At this point, I'm being chased away by, again, these Eastern Spearmen who are really crap. They're pretty good at sort of seeming scary in the sense that they have a lot. You can buy a lot of them because they're cheap. But then all of a sudden I realize, oh, these are crap units. So I'm actually just going to, as I pull these guys away, I'm going to turn around and just go back and charge into these guys, and they're going to absolutely break. My other Hastati unit is taking a huge beating, distracting his archers, and they're going to keep them busy, and then they're going to attack. So again, I'm like, oh shit, I got caught by spearmen. It's not really a big deal. You'll see my guys are still at 48. I'm going to turn around relatively soon. Over on these fronts, I'm able to pick off his guys with my remaining Balearics. Over here, my Praetorians are doing what they do. Even on this front, my general came in and helped out with this fight. Initially, he had a unit that was going for them, but then I turned my skirmishers around to pick them off, killing this front, this run is kind of evenly matched, but it's only a matter of time before I can keep collapsing down the front and rolling up that flank. Some extra pillas still alive, so it's going to be rolling up the frontier, or not the frontier, the flanks. But yes, here we go. You can see we're going to be doing this charge on the flank at this point. And this is where I do an about face. I'm going to go ahead and charge back into his units. They're starting to rout because I think I took out his general finally, or it could just be the overall army losses. So here we go. I'm going to be coming in and taking out his guys. So really nothing to worry about when it comes to Eastern Spear. And I think even with the patch, you could probably just charge them outright with heavy cav and they would break. Unless, of course, they're formed really in deep formations. So I guess we can finally put it on play. Hopefully the frame rate doesn't drop too much. And, oops, yeah, not much play. That's the end of the battle. So let's go ahead and watch a little bit of the stats. So you can see Hastati actually performing pretty well when it came to bracing and fending off his enemy, his units, his cav, who were overall pretty ineffectual. His archers did okay, but, you know, not super effective. They're mostly targeting at the Hastati. So I would say if you're going to be a Roman player and you bring a Roman build, definitely bring some Hastati. They can ward off and soak up cavalry charges, do flanking attacks. But as you saw when they fought Parthian swordsmen, they lost. So make sure you have some sort of core to your unit. So probably something like armored legionnaires or veteran legionnaires, and then bring like 1 or 2 top tier Roman infantry just to give that morale effect, and also to hold up strategic positions. Then bring some decent cav, and the Saki Extraordinary did really well. So hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time. See you in the next battle.